Imagine being called into HR one morning. You sit down across the table, expecting a normal conversation about projects, or maybe a routine check-in. Instead, you're told there's a harassment complaint against you. No proof, no details, no chance to defend yourself. Just a vague, cold explanation and a decision already made. You're fired. Now imagine you didn't even do anything. The week before, someone else in the office had been fired for harassment. They had a reputation, but somehow, someone decided I must have been the one who reported him, and they filed a retaliatory complaint against me. HR didn't investigate, they didn't verify, they didn't even care. They just said they'd replace us both and move on. Replace me? As if I were some cog in a machine. I wasn't a cog. I was the person handling our company's largest client, the client that paid more than $60,000 a month in steady projects. Every campaign, every deliverable, every late-night revision went through me. I knew their systems better than anyone. I had their trust. And overnight, my company threw me away like trash. I remember walking back to my desk, collecting my things in silence. People avoided eye contact. A few whispered, no one asked me what had happened. The ones I thought were friends didn't even say goodbye. I realized in that moment how quickly the office could erase you. One minute you're the backbone of the team, the next you're a ghost. When I left the building, it felt surreal. The world outside was still spinning. People walking their dogs, cars honking in traffic, like nothing had happened. But for me, everything had changed. My career, my reputation, my income, it felt like it had been yanked out from under me in one careless decision. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was the client. They called with the usual questions, expecting me to give updates, outline next steps, reassure them that everything was on track, but I had to tell them the truth. I didn't work there anymore. I had been let go. There was a long pause on the other end. Then they asked, who's handling our projects now? I told them I didn't know. I wasn't given any details. The silence that followed said it all. They were stunned. Over the next week, I heard whispers from my old coworkers. The replacement they'd hired didn't know the systems. Emails went unanswered. Deadlines slipped. Mistakes piled up. The client was furious. They had trusted me, and the company had pulled the rug out from under them without explanation. And here's the irony. HR had told me I was replaceable, that they'd just bring someone else in and move forward. But they didn't just fail to replace me. They started to sink without me. That's the danger of underestimating people who do quiet, consistent work. You think they're invisible until they're gone, and then you realize they were holding everything together. I tried to move on. I updated my resume, looked at job postings, wondered how I was going to pay bills if this dragged out too long, but deep down, I was angry. Angry that I'd been discarded for nothing. Angry that my name had been dragged through mud I didn't even step in. Then, 2 weeks later, my phone rang again. Same client, same number. My heart raced when I answered. This time they didn't want updates. They didn't want to know about my old company. They wanted me, directly. They asked if I would be open to meeting them to talk about a role. I walked into their office a few days later, and they had already drafted a position for me. No application, no endless interviews. Just, we trust you, we want you, and we're done going through your old company. They offered me better pay, better benefits, and more respect than I'd ever received before. I accepted without hesitation. And just like that, my old company lost their biggest clients. $60,000 a month in billables gone overnight. The client moved in-house with me, and my old company was left scrambling. The best part? I didn't even chase this. I didn't lobby, I didn't beg, I didn't scheme. I simply told the truth when asked, and my work spoke louder than any accusation ever could. I've thought a lot about that, a lot about that line HR used when they let me go. We'll find someone new and keep going. It sounded so simple, so certain, but it wasn't true. Some people can't be replaced. You can hire someone to fill a seat, but you can't instantly transfer trust, knowledge, or years of experience. That's earned, and they threw it away. It made me realize something else too. Offices change quickly when HR gets involved. People you thought would have your back suddenly avoid you. Loyalty evaporates under the fluorescent lights of an HR meeting. But real loyalty shows up in the places that matter most, in the client who stood by me, who knew the value of what I brought. Looking back, I don't even feel bitter anymore. The firing that felt like the end of everything turned out to be the doorway to something better. I ended up with stability, respect, and an employer who valued me. My old company ended up with empty promises and lost revenue. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It isn't shouting or lawsuits or slamming doors. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is quiet success. Watching from a distance as the people who dismissed you struggled to patch the hole they ripped open themselves. If you've ever been treated like you were nothing by a company, remember this. You might be carrying far more than they realize, and when they finally drop you, it won't be the end. It might be the beginning of something they'll regret for a long time. I lost a job unfairly, but in the end, I gained more than I ever expected. If this hit home, like and subscribe if you believe loyalty should go both ways, and that quiet success is the best revenge. Drop your verdict in the comments. What would you have done? And if you've lived a story like this, Share it with us so someone else finds their own vindication. This is Pixeled Tears and Triumphus News Stories Daily.